Are we live? Oh my gosh, it's been literal years since I've done one of these. Let me make sure that I'm not like feeding audio back into myself real quick. Headphones acquired. Plug them in. Yes, I remember how to do this. It's like that one, right? Oh, I guess it would probably be good to like turn to the audio that my headphones feed into, which is not that one. Is it this one? I guess it would probably be good to like turn to the audio that my headphones feed into. Okay, I think it's like if this is muted. It would probably be good to like turn to the audio that my headphones feed into. Yep. Okay, so as long as that's muted, we're all good. Cool, good, great, awesome, outstanding, amazing. Yeah, just gonna do a little behind the scenes stuff here before we get started with the behind the scenes stuff here. Just give me a sec. So I will preface this right off the bat by saying that it has been a heckin' long time since I've done a live stream, and I am rusty like you wouldn't believe. It's not even funny. It's been so long. So I apologize if I'm not the most energetic or the most good with words because I'm usually not very good with talking in front of a microphone off the top of my head. When I'm talking with other people, bit of a different story, but just when it's by myself and I'm talking into a microphone alone, then it can kind of be a little bit rambly and stuttery and stuff. So I'm going to try to hold off on that as much as possible. Let's see if I do that. I was hoping that we'd have a chat going. I don't actually know if it is going. Sorry, chat is currently unavailable. Well, that's no good. Am I going to be able to get a chat actually working here? So if I do pop out chat, new, manage, I don't care about that. Oh, someone's already here. Hello, Troublesome Truck Studio. Nice to see you in the chat. This is the part of the stream where I try to remember how to stream again because it's been so long, as I've said before. Why are you not working then? Let's see here. I think it's just like you copy the link and you put it in here. And it should work. Well, there's still a monkey just telling me that something went wrong. I don't like that. Yeah, I have no idea. Okay. Then in that case, we won't have a chat, unfortunately. I will have the video going and whatnot, but no chat. So I'm sorry about that to those who wanted their name or their text in the chat. However, to compensate, I will say your message out when it shows up. So I hope that's a fair trade because I can't figure this out. You'd think it would be like I'm sure that it's like just a simple thing. Like I'm positive. I know that there's like add-ons that you can get to make it happen easier. But I don't have the patience for that right now. Yeah, I think that's just gonna have to be invisible for the time being. Oh well, that's all right. So, Sonic Mania just dropped yesterday. I'm very proud of this project. Turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to because it's been a while since I've actually done a Let's Play of any kind. So I wasn't 100% sure like how it would go out because usually I do scripted content. And the nice thing about scripted content is as long as you know like exactly what you need to do to make it work, everything will eventually turn out how you want it to. You know, things might go a certain way creatively or whatever, but in terms of just commentary, well, I shouldn't say easy to do because it's a lot of work, but the result is always something that I am pretty proud of. Even though I don't consider myself the best talker, as you can already tell, and I've said a few times now. So going into something where I was doing a lot of live commentary was a little bit scary because, like, as I said, not very good at coming up with things off the top of my head. There's also just a lot of stuff in Sonic Mania that is, like, I want to talk about, and I don't want to be stuttering over myself while talking about it, so I came up with a whole bunch of notes beforehand. I don't usually do, like, a bunch of note-taking when I do pre-production. I usually have, like, an idea in my head. Just because I feel like that's easier when I'm writing a script or something. Sometimes I will, like, write little thoughts or something, or if I have an idea for a joke, I'll write it down. But for the most part, typically, when I start pre-production on a video, it's mostly just straight into the watching a thing, researching it, and then we get into the actual writing of the script. This one, decided to go through... I actually played the game 3 times in preparation for this Let's Play. Which it was a lot, but I really enjoyed playing through it that many times because I got to learn different things about it. I learned that Tails, very good character. He's very fun to play as. I learned Knuckles fucking sucks sometimes because he can't jump high enough to reach anything. And Sonic was pretty good. It was the first time I actually, like, really used Sonic's other abilities. Spoilers. He has the super peel out, the drop dash, and the insta shield. And I always have stuck to the drop dash just because I think that it is, like, a good natural evolution of the spin dash. Even though it does kind of replace the spin dash a little bit. It does suck that he can't have all 3 at the same time. Which I think they could have totally done. I mean, like, all you had to do for the insta shield was just, like, have it if you tap the button versus if you hold the button. Maybe people would end up drop dashing when they didn't mean to then, so that might be what the game designers were trying to avoid, but I don't know. Usually I stick to the drop dash, but getting to use the insta shield, I found myself actually quite impressed with what I was able to do with it. And using the super peel out, it looked cool, at least. I don't think I would use it again. The next time I come back to this game, I'll probably just stick with the drop dash. But hey, it looks cool. And, you know, looking cool. You can sell me on Flash 100%. Anyway, I'm rambling right now. So, the commentary in this video it's not, I wouldn't say it's rougher than a typical scripted video that I would put on my main channel, but it is definitely a lot more freeform. So even with those notes, there's stuff like, what am I trying to say? There will be moments where I just blank out and I have nothing to say. I tried my best throughout this Let's Play to basically hide those cuts as best I can. So if I want to cut to, like, somewhere further in the level, I'll do, like, a zoom in or a funny graphic or something like that. There was a lot of, like, pushing audio together where it was fairly non-specific and you could put anything on screen just to make it smooth, like a little smoother, because I find when you cut from, like, one shot to another, it can look a little bit abrupt. These first few episodes were, they're a little bit guilty of cutting back and forth between certain things, where without, like, an effect in between to make it seem, like, a little more natural. So I guess I should have thought about that a little more, but it was something that I learned while doing this Let's Play. I did learn a lot from actually making this, which is nice because I always have thought that Let's Plays were, like, the easy stuff that I do. It's not, like, super complicated. I don't have to put in a bunch of effects. It's mostly just funny video game and the guy who talks about Thomas the Tank Engine playing funny video game. Sometimes with some level of skill, sometimes incredibly poorly. It's hard, okay? When you're doing commentary and you're trying to play a game at the same time, it's really difficult, because you wouldn't think it's difficult. You think it would be just easy, but it's it's actually, like, because you gotta focus. You're trying to divide your focus between playing the game well and actually saying something that is interesting. We got someone in chat. Bro, I'm trying to make, like, Thomas the Tank Engine mini movie on Trains 2 on my iPad. I'm trying to get Thomas and everyone on Trains. I hope you're not asking me for help, because I wouldn't know the first thing about Trains. For as much as I can tell oh, that's a good camera angle, that's a good shot, that looks nice, that doesn't. You throw me into Train Simulator and I'm fucked. I would have like half a map at the end of 2 weeks of work and being like, oh my gosh, this is way harder than I thought it would be. Um, you might say, well, why does that make you qualified to review Train's content? Well, there's I think there's more to it than just knowing how the program works. And I do have some understanding of how it works, but I am definitely not like jumping in there and just filming something. So kudos to you for actually getting in there and doing it. Doing a hell of a lot more than I can do in that, especially with a freaking iPad. I I can't think of a torture more like egregious than having someone do any video, anything with an iPad. Oh my gosh. I'm not asking for help. Well, yeah, no, I figured that you weren't asking for help. I just thought it was I thought it would be funny to say because I wouldn't know anything about that. But hey, good on you for doing that. Keep up the good work. I've completely lost my train. I was talking about commentary, right? So playing a video game and talking over it is not easy for me to do because I like to have a script in front of me while I say stuff. And you know, with what's nice about like editing is that if I screw up or if I stutter or make a mistake, I can go back. I can re-record a line if a joke doesn't land the way that I want it to. I can use graphics to make it flow a little bit better. It's very nice. It really is. During this, I was very careful though with the graphics that I was using. Not I wouldn't say like I was like, oh, I don't want to use this or oh, I don't want to use that, but I made very sure like to take notes of what stuff that I was like taking footage from. Like you saw there, I was using Eggman from Sonic 1 where he's using the swinging egg ball. And I made sure like every time I got a clip. I think there might be a couple exceptions where it's like just a stupid meme that I couldn't find the origin of where I didn't, but for the most part I took notes and I made sure to like have a credit list in the playlist. And you know, I feel like in the credits in the finale I probably could have had some blurb there because it's basically like 10 minutes of just credits with nothing else going on. I probably could have done something else there. I think I would rather save that for like a bonus video or something, but I don't know, it could swing either way just depending on how I'm feeling. I also just really wanted to have that final video done because this project had taken me, like, let me put this into perspective. I started working on this before the Steamies Awards show was even, like, finished being written. And that was in September. And I didn't, like, finish it until about a week ago from the time this is being streamed. So I've been sitting on this footage for a very, very long time. This has been like a long haul project. And it shouldn't have been a very long project. It's just because there's so many things that I constantly have in the works. Because I can never just work on one project at, at once. That would be ridiculous to, you know, focus on one thing. No, I'd rather do like 45 things all at the same time. And so, it was like a little bit of this, and then okay, Steamy's Awards time. Let's edit that for 4 fucking months. Oh my gosh, that was there was a lot of just like listening to myself say the same shit over and over again in both of these, to be fair. And then I started working on this for a bit again. And when the new year came, I wasn't sure what project I wanted to work on. I like one personal project that will probably never see YouTube, and then like 3 other projects that I want to do. This being one of them. Another was a Who Did It Better on Trucks, which eventually came to be. And the third one was what was the third one? I know that there was a third one. I just don't remember what that third one was. I know that I was going back and forth between a lot of stuff. I think it was the next analyzation station that I'm working, or analyzation express, pardon me, that I'm working on. So, between all of that, I was just trying to like find something, and I found that like Let's Plays are a good palate cleanser after I work on like something really big. I don't do them all the time because I would go nuts, and also uh, it's just like not something that I want to do all the time. I don't find them as rewarding to do as like a big video, but they're fun little like side projects that I like to do when I just want something easy to work on. Luke, welcome to the chat. Glad you could make it. If you're worried about stuttering as you're commentating over a game, would it help if you had something like a commentary group watching the already recorded footage? Like a game commentary watching. If you mean something like brain scratch commentaries, that is legitimately something that I would love to do one day. That is 100% something that I think would work really well. Just because it's I've personally found that it is a lot easier to talk about different like just talk in general when there is another person with me speaking. Like when I do videos with Austin, or when we did the next Analyzation Express, I found that was so much easier to edit all of the audio for, just because. Did that work? Cool. I actually transitioned it correctly. Just because like having someone else to bounce off with is it just makes the conversation flow better. I don't have to just be like, oh well, now I'm going to talk about this, and now I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to try to string these two thoughts together as coherently as possible, which was a big problem in Chemical Plant Zone. Perfect timing, because Green Hill Zone, a lot of momentum. Didn't have any problems editing it at all. Had a blast with it. Got to put in a lot of good jokes, I think. And then we get to Chemical Plant, and oh my gosh, I literally I don't know what happened. It was like someone flipped a switch. I just completely blanked out, and which sucks because Chemical Plant's one of my favorite zones in all of Sonic, just because of Sonic 2, and this was like basically the end of my Sonic 2 run every time I played. But it was so much fun. I just loved it every single time. And, you get into it, and I'm with Tails, who is my favorite character to play as in Sonic Mania. And, gosh dang it, it just wasn't clicking for me, and I don't know why. I don't know if I did them back to back, or if I took a break in between. Maybe I just like lost my flow somewhere along the way. Maybe I just wasn't feeling it for this particular level. But I had to go back and I had to re-record a portion of the video because I just didn't like what I was saying. And it wasn't like I was saying anything like offensive or anything. It's just, it was not interesting commentary. I was stuttering. I just wasn't like, it felt like I just wasn't there. Like I was just doing it off the top of my head and wasn't really feeling motivated to do so. Which sucks because you don't want to feel like that. You want to, like, when you're recording something, you want to feel good. You want to feel like you're happy to be there. And, I definitely, I think I improved a lot over the course of this series. There was definitely a couple clunkers. Like, I think I had to record part of Lava Reef again, just because again, just brain was not working that day, and I don't know why. Maybe it was. It also doesn't help that with some of these levels, there's just not a lot of notes that I could take because some of them just aren't interesting. Oil Ocean, despite being one of the more popular episodes in this series from what I've seen, it was my least favorite to record. We'll get to that soon, but just, I want to say right off the bat, that was like the most, like I hated it so much. I like the final output, final product I think is good, but I did not enjoy recording that level at all. This one was more so just my brain was like full of fog or something. I couldn't like get the words out of my mouth. Another thing I want to talk about, since we're in a bonus game, is the bonus games themselves are actually, I wouldn't say I cheated because I didn't really, but I did while doing these bonus games because they get progressively harder and harder. And, if you fail one, it's like, well, what was the point of showing it? So for the bonus games, I did go back and do them in post, and then, like, the win is in post, but most of the commentary is, for the most part, live as it was happening. So that's a little behind the scenes trickery right there. Which you might be wondering, well, what happened when we got to the 7th Emerald if you're doing them in post? Well, we'll get to that. Because I was doing them in post, though, I did have to, like, go and get the Chaos Emeralds for the other characters, because I wanted to show off all of the characters, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And you might be saying, well, that's not all the characters. Well, just don't worry. We'll get to that another time. But I want to show off Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles because this game was built with those characters in mind. And to do that, what I actually had to do was, because you can't change characters in the title screen. I know that's what it made it look like, but that's not how it works. So what I had to do is I had to beat the game 3 times, because then it gives you a level select, and then go through all of the levels, like with, what am I trying to say? Let me try that again. Go through the list of levels and be like, okay, I want to do this one with Sonic, this one with Tails, I want to do this one with Knuckles. Poor Knuckles got shafted so hard in this Let's Play. He only gets like 2 and a boss fight, and like a little tiny bit of level before the boss fight. And Tails gets easily the most out of everybody. And looking at it, I was like, ooh, I didn't balance this very well. But to be fair, I wanted to show off Knuckles' like extra stuff, and I don't know. Knuckles is also just like my least favorite character to play as, because he's got cool moves and stuff, but he just doesn't get like the same kind of treatment that he does in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So I beat the game 3 times, went through with the level select, and then whenever I got a Chaos Emerald with one character, I would go in with the other 2 characters into Green Hill Zone, because one thing that the game does that's really nice is if you get a Chaos Emerald after you've beaten the game and then exit, you will actually be able to go to that same special stage ring again, which is very handy because I would pretty much just debug mode my way to the special stage ring and just grind and grind and grind until I actually got it. I think I did get a lot better at playing those bonus games from doing that. You might call it cheating, but I wanted to actually be able to show them off as much as I could. Luke in chat, I find that these are the most fun out of the other 2D games. In the other 3, technically 4, but no, it is 3 games. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is just 1 game. In the other 3, I feel like sighing in relief rather than feeling accomplished. Rather feeling like I accomplished something. But here, I was genuinely having fun. Yeah, I really like Sonic 3, and I really like Sonic 2 and Sonic 1. I don't know if I'd ever cover them as their own Let's Play, because I don't have a really good way to record them. The versions that I grew up with are on the Nintendo DS. It's the Sonic Classic Collection. And I can't record a Nintendo DS screen without it looking like big poo-poo. So that's just probably... I guess I could use like Sonic Origins, but I'd rather not. If I'm gonna do Sonic Origins, I would rather like wait until that game gets its patch that I've heard about. We got more people. Great Western Legacy, hi, welcome to the chat. Troublesome Truck Studios, welcome back to the chat. Sorry your iPad died. Derailed Studios, welcome. Welcome everybody. Everybody's welcome here. Whether you're like just showing up for the first time to one of these streams, or you are a longtime fan. I say whether you're longtime fan or not. I've only actually done 2 of these live streams, so you know, I wouldn't necessarily. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent right now. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I don't know if I'd ever do Sonic 1 through 3 and Knuckles, just for that reason. Maybe one day, but probably not in the future at any point, just because I don't really have like a lot to say about them. I think that as games, they definitely I could see who did it better with those games. Probably not a Let's Play, at least not right now. Anyways, moving right along here, we're going to be seeing, yeah, this is like one of the only edits that this episode has, is just like, hey, look, it's the thing from the other thing. You know the thing from the other thing, right? This was like the first part where we actually show off 2 characters. We show off Tails, and at the end we show off Knuckles as well. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I kind of wish I hadn't shown off Knuckles. There's definitely utility to showing him off, because there was stuff in this boss fight that I didn't really get to talk about. But showing off Knuckles in here was kind of like wasn't really necessary, I guess you could say. Because, I mean, the breakable wall, it was good to show, like, oh, he has an alternate path, but it kind of, like, ruins the flow a little bit, I found, where we are going through Green Hill Zone with Knuckles, and it's, like, it's supposed to be the first time that we see him, but we've also just seen him in Chemical Plant Zone. Now, I think if I would have reordered the episodes so that Sonic's Green Hill and Knuckles Green Hill were right next to one another, like with what I did with Mirage Saloon Zone, I think it would have worked a little bit better, but also we are going through Green Hill twice, and I didn't really want to do that, just because I want to move on to something new. So I felt Chemical Plant Zone was a good break in it. I guess in a way it does kind of work, though, because we get to see Knuckles, and then part 3 comes around, then we get to really see what Knuckles can do. So it kind of works both ways depending on how you look at it. Or maybe that's just my brain trying to, like, make up for the fact that I might have done something not very good. Uh, Whatever. But yeah, Chemical Plant Zone was not particularly fun to commentate. I did have to go back and re-record some stuff. I'm definitely happy with how it turned out regardless. I just wish that it would have turned out a little better the first time so that I wouldn't have had to go and redo it. Yeah, here's the part with Knuckles. I like that transition, which was pretty fun. I didn't get to do that a whole lot throughout this series, but a couple times I did get to do it were pretty neat. You might notice while going through this with Knuckles, I was very, very careful, well, except for this part where I literally glided over a bunch of stuff. I was very careful not to show off too many of Knuckles' abilities and, like, show them off, like, too in detail, because I wanted that to be the Knuckles episode where we actually get to see him and how he gets roped into this adventure against his will. And, I think it turned out for the best, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I could have reformatted this a little better. Maybe I could have, like, stuck Knuckles onto Green Hill Zone with Sonic. I don't know how that really would have turned out. Could have worked. Not 100% sure there. Anyways, that was Chemical Plant Zone. And then we move on to my favorite zone in the game. One of my favorite zones, Studiopolis Zone. This one was a blast for me to record. I love this one a lot. For those who don't know, I'm big into production. And if you've seen the update video, which dropped right when this little stream came out, then I don't know why saying little stream made me, like, cringe a little bit, but it did. Right when the stream came out, then you'll know that I want to talk more about production, because, I do a lot of review stuff, but I think that it's also important to look at, like, behind the scenes how something gets made and why it looks the way that it does, instead of just being like, oh, well, I don't like this, I don't like this. That was one thing that got brought up during the Steamy Awards, is that I talk a lot about the videos, but I don't talk about how I can fix them, which is a whole topic for another day. But the long and short of it is, I only have so much time to keep the viewers' attention, and I don't want to, like, go on and on and on and on and on for a super long time on stuff that doesn't have any bearing on anything. Fixing a video and reviewing it are kind of two different things. You can definitely mesh them together. I've seen, like, Unlucky Tug do it, meshing together, like, how to fix a thing and why a thing didn't work. You can see that with the Big World Big Adventures video. It's also, actually, getting back to Sonic Mania, it's also the reason why I did these zone by zone instead of doing them in parts, because I definitely could have made, like, a 20-minute part on, like, 5 levels or something. I don't think, I mean 20-minute part, probably like 2 or 3 levels. However, I don't want to do that because, again, attention spans nowadays, especially for gaming content, you gotta be snappy, you gotta be quick with it. It's why I don't particularly watch a lot of new Game Grumps stuff, because, they have the 10-minute bite-sized episodes, which are really nice, and the 10-minute power hours, which are really quick, and you can just jump in, watch one while you're eating lunch or something, and it's great. But watching, like, a 40-minute thing, it can get very tiring, like, if you want to watch more than one. Because sometimes you just want to watch, like, a couple things. And you might say, well, what's the difference between watching, like, two 20-minute or two 10-minute things and one 20-minute thing? Well, I think, I don't know. I guess, really, it's, I guess it just feels like you're watching more when you watch two 10-minute, or one 20-minute thing versus two 10-minute things. It doesn't feel like as much time, even though it is kind of the same time. Does that make any sense at all, or am I just rambling? I don't know. I also think that just like asking a viewer to stay and watch like a super duper long video is asking a lot from them if they just want to watch something really short. Because like if you can't watch a really long video, say you don't have enough time to, then you'll probably just choose something else to watch. That's just my philosophy on things. That's why I don't typically make very long videos. I do enjoy making very long videos. They are incredibly rewarding to complete. However, I will say that like I would much rather watch like a 10-15 minute long video than like an hour and a half of something. Although I do think that if you segment it right and you pace it right, it can definitely work properly. A good example is, I go back to Unlucky Tug again. Rip his channel. I hope he gets it back, by the way. But I go back to Unlucky Tug again because his Railway Series ranked video is a very good example of I can watch a little bit and then I can take a break. I can go do something else. You don't have to watch the whole thing in one go because all of them are pretty well segmented. I do find it kind of funny that the automatic chapters stop at Mountain Engines, so it's like Mountain Engines is number one on that list according to YouTube now. Again, I hope that he gets his channel back, but hey, I'm getting off topic here. Yeah, so that's I've completely lost myself in the frickin' sauce of what we were talking about. Luke says, yeah, it was probably a good idea to have them all dedicate their own zone, helps them stand out. I thought that was a good idea. Yeah, it also helps because I think we get a Chaos Emerald every zone with I think I just did I miss Knuckles? I missed Knuckles. It's fine. I don't really mind that too much. We've already got like a lot of stuff to watch. I probably won't watch through all of them or have them all play in the background during this. I just want to talk about like various things. Let me actually go through my list here because if there's some that I can skip, I will absolutely skip them if it's not interesting. Because Studiopolis, for how much that I like it and for how much stuff is in it, it's not a particularly interesting... Okay, we didn't miss Knuckles. Knuckles was part 4. Was Knuckles part 4, really? I'm sure Knuckles was part 3. Did I put the things in the wrong order? Oh god. I gotta check that now because that's gonna drive me nuts. I'm gonna have to fix that if that's the case. I'm already in the wrong thing. I went to YouTube Studio instead of the actual channel. Shoot, did I? I think I might have screwed this up somewhere. I think? I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go back and look at that because I feel like there is a line in episode 4 that's like, oh, we're teeing up the Studiopolis. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Again, it's been a while since I've watched these, so whoops if I made a mistake. Hopefully I didn't, though. Some people are mentioning Unlucky Tug. Yeah, I feel real bad for him. Feel bad that I didn't even know that was a thing, that your channel could get deleted if it's connected to an email that is used for another channel that got deleted, which is kind of scary because I have a fairly good chunk of channels that I put different stuff on, and they're all connected pretty much to the same email, which is kind of scary. Also, E122PSI, welcome to the stream. This is where we ramble about Sonic and things that aren't Sonic. Great to see more Sonic fans who grew up on Thomas. Yeah. I wonder if there's like a connection, like if you put like a Venn diagram between like Thomas fans and Sonic fans, I wonder if like they overlap at all. Because I mean, you know, Sonic is blue and Thomas is blue. Sonic goes fast, and like the plot of half of Thomas's episodes in like the big movies and stuff. I just said episodes and movies. The plot of like a lot of stuff in Thomas is like Thomas wanting to go faster. I don't know. That's probably just me drawing connections where there are none to be drawn. But hey, that's just the way I roll sometimes. I think I can probably skip ahead to another episode here, because there's not really too much I want to say about Studiopolis Zone. And there's really nothing that I want to say about Knuckles' Green Hill, other than I am petrified if I screwed that up somehow and like put Knuckles in the wrong order, because that's, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I would have to go back and like reorder it and redo the thumbnails. I gotta put a new number on it, which is fine. Let's go to, I'm thinking let's skip ahead to episode 6 here. Yeah. I don't have a way to fade this, so jump cut in 3, 2, Juan. Now we're in Press Garden Zone, where it's winter themed. Press Garden Zone is another one of my favorite zones, just because of how pretty it looks. This was one where it kind of fell in the middle between me having a lot to say and me not having anything to say at all. Luckily, I think the editing did help a lot more with covering that up than it did in, say, Chemical Plant Zone, or especially in Lava Reef Zone, because Lava Reef Zone went on. The first act was so heckin' long that, like, I was cutting bits out. I actually, for Lava Reef Zone, I did re-record that boss fight, just because, I didn't re-record the boss fight, I re-recorded the audio for the boss fight. Saying, yeah, it's definitely a unique level gimmick. It is a very unique level gimmick. Like a pressing the newspaper press plant, print and press, that's the word, mixed with a garden is not something I would have thought of. But, you know, I really like it. I think it's got a lot of cool stuff in it. An ancient Asian print studio. That's like a tongue twister. If I was, an ancient Asian is like a weird, like, it's hard to say really fast. Also, I know that I said, oh, I'll get like a better screen cap to show for those Sonic posters. I couldn't find one. I checked all over the internet. There's probably one that's out there, but I was not able to find it. I couldn't find it on like the Sonic Mania wiki, the fandom wiki. I thought that it was like a motion blur, and that was like a still image that you could find in the game files. Apparently not. I could be wrong about that. I hope I'm wrong about that, because I'd love to see what that actually says, if it does say wanted or something like that. But I couldn't find anything. Hopefully that those screen caps that I put up were good enough, but what are you gonna do? J. Jonah Jameson is on the hunt for photos of Sonic the Hedgehog. Hey man, Godspeed to him. He's gonna need all the help he can get. If anyone could take down Sonic, though, it'd be J. Jonah Jameson. Would you classify him? I'm getting completely off topic for the 75th time. Would you classify him as a Spider-Man villain, or is he just kind of like a guy? Because I'm not super into Spider-Man. I do like Spider-Man, but like I'm not into all the lore. But I've heard like a lot of people debate whether he's like just like a thing that Peter Parker has to deal with versus him being like an actual villain. He's kind of like, he does make Spider-Man, from what I understand, he does make Spider-Man's life not fun, but I don't know if I'd classify him as a villain. He's not like evil per se. There's one clip on YouTube that like shows his backstory. He's like, there were these guys who wearing masks who killed my wife and son, and that's why I hate people who wear masks. And it's like what? That doesn't make any sense. It's like they're like trying to go for like this really serious moment, and it doesn't work. Actually, you wanna, let me see if I can find the clip real quick, because open up an incognito tab for no reason other than I would like to. Why J. Jonah Jameson hates Spider-Man. Now, I have no idea if I can even play this, or if YouTube will get big angry at me. But I'm going to try. Now, which one of my things here is the one that, there it be. Oh crap. It's, ooh. No, I've broken the illusion of this being like all professional and shit. Tails, you can go in the background for a little bit here. Let's pull you up in front. And I really hope that this plays, otherwise I'm gonna look like a big fool. So he's running along. He's angry because, oh shoot, the scorpion's destroying the world. I think that's the scorpion.
You? What do you mean?
Robbie, I helped create that thing.
You what? Why would you do such a thing?
I did it for Julia, my wife. Years ago, a crime boss warned me to back off a story, but I refused.
Oh, you can't even see it, gosh dang it. There we go.
In a mask. He aimed at me, but he hit her.
Man in a mask. He shot my wife.
Safe from people who hide behind masks and think that they're above the law.
That's exactly what your creation is doing. You've got to stop him.
You're right, Robbie. I've made a horrible mistake.
Yeah, it's like I can't be the only one that thinks like, oh, that's like a really serious, like they're trying to do something really serious, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't hit. Maybe that's just me. I'm genuinely curious to know if anyone else feels the same way about that. Also, I just realized we have Super Tails now. I want to talk a little bit about Super Tails because there's a little bit of an interesting story behind this boy actually getting to go super in this level. So when I was recording it, we got to the special stage. I think I closed the game so that I could get the Chaos Emerald and then reopened it. And no, wait, let me try that again. So I closed the game, I reset it, I got back up to that point, I got the Chaos Emerald again, and then I tried to go super, and it just didn't work. And I don't know why. I would jump and press X, and it didn't work, and I don't know what I was doing wrong. To this day, I still don't know what I was doing wrong. I wonder if it might have something to do with me getting a little funky in debug mode, because I did use debug mode to get back to there. Which I know it kind of breaks the illusion, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes to make a video. Sometimes you gotta like bend the rules a little bit. It's one of those things where if I can liken it to anything, it's like when you look at something like we'll liken it to Thomas, because I think Thomas is a good example, where they want to tell realistic stories in the classic series, but they also want to tell fun stories. And so I think you have to find you have to kind of sacrifice a little bit of realism for telling a good story. And it's kind of the same situation here, where it's like I technically cheated to get back to there, but it was for the sake of the actual video, so that things were a lot better. Because if I fail with the Chaos Emerald, it's kind of lame. Like, I don't want to get to the third last zone of the game and be like, oh, we've got all the Chaos Emeralds now, boys. Now we can finally... In some point, it might be like, oh, it's satisfying because, you know, you finally get it. Like, I would liken it to something like, say, Pokemon, where, you know, you don't want Ash to just, like, steamroll through all 8 gyms. There actually has to be some kind of challenge. It's kind of similar to that in a way, where it's like, oh, I finally got it, now we get this super cool thing. But at the same time, I want to actually use the super cool thing and show it off in more than 2 levels, because I think that would be kind of lame. There is definitely, like, I did hold off as much as I could with using the super forms, unless I absolutely had to. I shouldn't say when I absolutely had to, but when I felt like it was actually good to use it, because the super forms are very slippery, and it's hard to commentate a game where you're going fast all the time, because things blow by so quickly. It's especially fast when you're going 88 miles per hour and you're about to like travel through time because you're going so fast. Oh, speaking of which, here's that joke. I was actually quite happy with the way that one turned out. But yeah, that's the reason why I didn't use super forms a whole lot. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but like, every time I use a super form against a boss fight, we're gonna see that in a second. In fact, oh no, we're basically at the end of the level. Every time I use a super form in a boss fight, with one exception, it ends in a loss because of it draining your rings and me not being. Actually, no, there was one time where I used it in a boss fight where I fell into a heckin' pit because I was going too fast. That was against the Oil Ocean boss fight, where by the end of it, I felt like I would just been like huffing gasoline fumes the entire time. Yeah, against the Heavy Shinobi, I think I probably could have won with this if I had just been a little more like precise with my hits, I guess you would say. And like every time, because how you're supposed to fight this guy is every time he jumps, you have to jump into him to stun him. You can't just attack him normally. With the exception if you had a fire shield, which there is a fire shield in the level. Had I gotten that, this would have been an easy win with the Super Fox. But unfortunately, I think he might have been on his last hit too. And the RNG hit me bad there with those stars. Yeah, I think I definitely could have done this with Super Tails if I wanted to, though. Moving along, since we're basically at the end of this episode, I don't have a whole lot more I want to say about it. Let's go to the one that comes after this, which is... Oh yeah, this was the one where I had to put up a seizure warning because, yikes, this level was a little bit wide. In fact, I don't even think I want to show this level. You know what, let's show just the boss fight. Yeah, just the boss fight where I explode. So this level, it was another case of me trying to figure out what to say, because everything goes by so quickly and it's hard to make points, so I just, I don't think I had to re-record anything. I think I managed to, like, actually make it, fairly coherent in spite of that, which I'm glad, because when a video, I always look at a timeline whenever I look at one of these Let's Plays, and I look at how naked it looks in comparison to, say, a Who Did It Better or something similar. And I'm like, I feel like I could do more here, but I don't know how or where, and so I send it to air, but I'm just like, it is what it is. It definitely, more stuff in a timeline does not make a better video. I want to say that right now. There's plenty of instances where just having like a basic timeline can produce a good video. You want a good example of that? Look at RT Game, where his timelines are not particularly full of stuff, but they are very funny and interesting, and he just has a good time playing video games. And he also does stupid stuff, but that's beside the point. So let's oh, I couldn't transition it quickly enough. Let's go to properties, and any requests for particular episodes anyone wants to see? Anyone at all? Otherwise, I'm just going to pick one at random here. Let's go with... If anyone has anyone that they want to see in particular, let me know. But I'm going to go with Knuckles' Mirage Saloon, because this was one that I actually really liked editing. So Knuckles' Mirage Saloon is actually really interesting. I recorded all of Mirage Saloon, all the game, and then while editing, I realized... someone's telling me to check Discord. I realized while editing that, oh shit, I didn't record Knuckles' Mirage Saloon. And so Knuckles only has like 2 things in the entire game where where he's actually being played as. Oh. Sure. Yeah, absolutely, Luke. If you want to jump in with me on stream, that's by all means. Let me get you into a call. Sure thing. One sec. Start a voice call. I don't know how well this is going to work. Luke is like probably going to be like way louder. Yo, how's it going? Hello?
Hello?
Hey there. I'm talking about Sonic and being really rambly.
Yeah, it's going alright. I've had to turn the sound on the video off because otherwise it's just going to get confusing.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just doing stuff. I'm actually curious, since you're here. What did you think, like, overall about this as a project?
About this, I've only ever seen like the first 2 bits of it like so far, and yeah, it seems that you've managed production wise, you managed it pretty well.
Yeah, thanks. There was so much stuff that happened during this. That's just like, I was just saying, like, that went wrong. Because I was saying, like, how for the one that's playing right now, which is Knuckles' Mirage Saloon, I just didn't record it, I guess. I swear that I recorded it. Like, I remember going through the level, but the footage just wasn't there. And I was like, well, I guess I'll re-record this one like 6 months after I've recorded everything else, and I hope no one notices the audio difference, which I don't think anybody did, but even still.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah, I do like Knuckles' version of Mirage Saloon a lot more. His Act 1, just because there's so much more stuff going on in it. Whereas with Sonic's, it's just like there's like one little bit of level, and then it's mostly just a an auto scroller, which eh.
it's
I
not. It's not only that, but it's the fact that the people behind Sonic Mania, because I know it wasn't Sega, it was the team of like Christian Whitehead who did it. But it's the fact that they like went out of their way to like make their own version of Mirage Saloon for Knuckles.
yeah, like um I really like, I think that it's really cool that they were like, instead of just having Knuckles flying on the tornado, we'll fucking kill him. And then you play Sonic's version, you see Knuckles fall off, and then you actually get to like see his perspective of like what happened after he fell down. For all intents and purposes, he should be dead after that, but like
Yeah.
he fell far. um, yeah. What was funny though is going through that level. Um, you might notice that there's like a bit of a cut where my lives changed during it, and that's because I actually died not once, not one death, not twice, but 3 times while going through that. Because you start and there's like bottomless pits on either side of, or not on either side of you, but like there's a bottomless pit right in front of you, and you don't know it's a bottomless pit. You just think it's like, oh, the level's really tall because Knuckles climbs a lot. No, it's just a bottomless pit, and it's right next to a special ring too, so you can just fall and die, and there's nothing you can really do about it.
Madness.
And so I had like, and there was also just one take where I didn't like how I introduced it, so I was like, I can do it again. It's right at the start of the level. Speaking of things I didn't like, fucking Oil Ocean Zone. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Have you ever played Sonic 2 Oil Ocean Zone?
I have played a Sonic 2 Oil Ocean Zone, and it is a clusterfuck of a level
Yeah,
to try and like get through. In Sonic Mania, it's a lot. In Sonic Mania, it's a lot more clear, I guess, and I guess that's kind of like the difference of like comparing how Sonic Mania was made compared to the older games, because the original three games, technically four if you want to count Sonic CD, they were made for a no save state console, so it made it a hell of a lot harder to try and replay like those levels. Whereas like here, I think they bring in like the save state from like Sonic 3, so it's a lot easier to like revisit. It's a lot easier to sort of get back to where you were. It's a bit annoying because you go all the way back to the beginning and you do have like limited lives, but it's a lot easier in this than it is in Sonic 2, definitely.
Yeah, because yeah, you are right. They have the same save system as Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Thank God. You can actually turn that off. I found out. There's a setting that lets you do no save mode if you're crazy. I believe is the technical term.
Speaking of crazy, that flame shield on the oil.
Yeah, that scared me the first time that I saw it. Like back in when this game came out, I was just going along having fun, get to Oil Ocean Zone, and oh look, a fire shield. That's kind of neat. And of course I've seen like the Some Call Me Johnny animation where he's like, what would happen if like you lit the oil on fire? And then
And they gave their response to that.
yeah, everything gets set on fire. Which honestly, I love that they included that, like the fire shield, because there is surprisingly a lot of application for it. Like the fire, I wouldn't call them springs. They're like platforms that shoot up. They count as fire, and so the fire shield protects from that. The oil's pretty cool. There's actual fire enemies. For as much as I don't like Oil Ocean Zone because of just how much it fucks with the player, it has a lot of good ideas.
Oh yeah, it's definitely aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Um, I mean, it does look nice. The orange background. I mean, pollution, but it looks nice.
The pollution.
I think in
Welcome to America Zone.
yeah, basically, this is like an accurate representation of going to the industrial parts of America. It's all like dangerous and there's spikes everywhere, and there's seahorses shooting at you, just like America.
You just get Doug Dimmadum vibing in the background.
Yeah, the level would basically be perfect at that point. That would bring it from a 3 to an 8. It
Wait, what? What? What?
what?
I just saw the oil refinery explosion.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna burn down Oil Ocean Zone because I hate it, and I was like, I wonder if I can find something where like a factory explodes but nobody dies, because there's definitely footage of factories going kaboom, but I also don't want to show video where someone actually dies. So
Yeah,
instead, I was like, I found this animation where no one, as far as I'm aware, died from that explosion. It was just like an oil refinery had fault. So I was like,
yeah.
well, it's not real. I mean, the story's real, but the animation isn't. Like, it's not like happening live. It's just an animation.
Speaking of people dying, the chemicals in the air in this level.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. This level, I didn't know at first that the maybe I knew and I forgot that it drains your rings. Like the smog if you don't clear out. I thought it was just a thing that stops you from seeing like in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. No, it drains your rings like if you were using a super form. And I didn't know that. And so I was playing through and I'm just like, why do I have no rings? And I'm pretty like haphazard when I play Sonic, so it's not uncommon for me to just not have rings sometimes. Because I'll just run face first into like a wall of spikes. And I was like, oh, I guess I just didn't have a lot of rings. And then a few seconds went by and I knew that I collected some rings. I'm like, wait, why do I have rings? And then I died to something stupid. And then I was like, oh, right, it does suffocate you.
It's surprisingly dark for the for like the classic Sonic to do this, because you showed how it was like a reference to like at the bit in Sandopolis where it was, if you leave the lights off for too long then like ghosts start appearing, but compared to that this is just like horrendous. It's like, that infamous like voice clip from like Sonic 06 where he's talking about where Vulcan cannon shots don't hurt him individually but he'll like cut down his rings bit by bit.
I that's I think I know what you're talking about. That's the
Yeah.
what's it called? They're in the future, right? And they're like fighting
Oh no,
Iblis, I think, or they're going to.
it's in the first level where they're talking about like the small bullets that Eggman's robots fire, where
Oh
when he
no,
talks about
sorry, I thought you meant the volcano level. There was something in there. I
yeah.
in that case, I don't know, but I can definitely believe it. That yeah,
Yeah,
you just
you just get Jason Griffith like doing that the version of like his of like the toxic fumes won't hurt individually, but I'll cut down my rings and suffocate my lungs.
I it's so weird. I can't breathe anymore. Like, well, it at least there's places in Sonic where like it makes sense that you're not able to breathe. Like people are always like, "Oh, hedgehogs should be able to swim. Why can Sonic drown in Labyrinth Zone?" But like he doesn't have infinite. He can't breathe underwater. He's not a fish or
Yeah,
similar. Like you could still drown. Uh but yeah, here it just like it never clicked for me while recording this. Like, oh, I'm in like danger if I don't clear the fumes. And so I would just like skip points where you can clear them out. Uh I was like, well, I guess I can't do that anymore. And then My favorite part of this level is these little submarine segments here because they are just so they're very like small little obstacle courses where
This is
all
new
of
territory for me. I don't think I've ever seen this submarine.
oh yeah, you can go into them and it actually clears the smog, I think, which is very handy. And they're just like these little micro levels where you can just run around for a bit and there's no stupid stuff to be like, haha, you've gotta follow our plan now. I mean, like you are railroaded, but like you still feel like you're in control.
Yeah, but no,
Uh,
this is that's like completely new territory. I had no idea that that submarine was a thing.
yeah, it's funny because until working on this project, I didn't know that you couldn't go in the submarine, that you could actually skip over it. So, huh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. All I want to know is how the hell do you use a submarine in oil? Because surely it's just like all purple with the
That's a
screen.
that's a good freaking question. I mean, how do you use a submarine in water? Because wouldn't it all be blue?
No, but
'Cause-
no, but you use it underwater, but at least you can use like lights to see through it. Because water's kind of see through. It's just that if you go deep enough into it, it becomes a bit harder to see. But if you have bright enough lights, but oil is a thick liquid. How the hell do you see through it?
Huh. Yeah. The way I said that, it's just like as we all know, water is naturally the color blue. Um well in Mario it's blue, it has to be blue. Light fire underwater, see what happens. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Um which, that's a very good question for this boss fight in particular where Eggman goes under the oil and doesn't like crash into anything. I don't know. Maybe like he is some kind of because submarines use radar, right, or sonar. One of the
Uh,
two.
yeah, one of them. Yeah,
I think radar. I think sonar is like sound. Maybe they use sonar.
maybe they use both, and we're just idiots.
Maybe this watching this boss fight makes me so unbelievably angry. It made me angry while I was editing. It made me angry while I was recording. It still makes me angry now because it's such an annoying fight. Like the original boss in Sonic 2 is super easy to do. Like you can rack up like 8 hits on him so quickly. This guy, he's not hard, but for some reason I was having the worst time with him ever. Maybe, yeah, I just got, ow. Just got freaking skewered. Maybe it's because of like commentary, you're trying to like focus on talking as well as playing the game. But, which is, yeah, that's the reason why. It's definitely not because I, suck. Um, but for some reason this boss
Blame
fight
the game,
just,
buddy. Blame the game.
for some reason this boss fight was just such a pain in the ass for me. It took me like 4 tries to do it, and I think the recording time was like 20 minutes. And I mean, obviously that gets cut down a whole lot, but still.
Yeah.
Also, I like gonna rewind that a little bit. Uh, there's I didn't
Yeah,
know what this was.
a lot of stuff in this because I'm watching the video like directly off of the stream. There's definitely going to be stuff that I'm going to be behind on. So
Yeah,
a lot of the stuff that you say I probably won't get yet.
yeah, I just want to freeze frame on this for a second. I wish that this was in frame more because like it's have you ever seen that picture of Brian where he's looking directly at the camera from Family Guy? It looks like straight on and it looks so weird. That's like same energy as this, and I really wanted to put this in the thumbnail and I couldn't figure out how.
Is that the one where he like turns off the TV and is like, "What? I'm tired."
Yeah, that's the one. Anyway, so fuck Oil Ocean Zone. We're moving on. Gosh dang it. That's the one. There we go. Lava Reef Zone. So this was I mentioned this earlier. This was another zone where it's very long and I very quickly just found I couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
I had like that same like fog where I had things I wanted to say, but they weren't coming out. Once they finally did come out, well, everything that I wanted to say only lasted about half the level, and the level's like 5 minutes long, and so I like there's a big chunk of the level that's just cut out where I'm like, okay, when are we gonna get to the boss fight? Is it gonna be now? And it just keeps going on for another minute, and it's I don't know. It's definitely one thing that like looking at like doing live commentary versus doing uh like scripted commentary. Um and I know that from a scripting side you might be thinking like, "Oh, it must be easier to do live commentary because you don't have to worry about like writing a script and then editing it a whole bunch cuz like you don't really edit out bloopers in a let's play. But there's like a lot of
Not really.
stuff that like if it doesn't sound good when you're talking,
Get rid of it.
people are gonna think like you're just rambling. Yeah, and you've got to cut it. And that's not to say, like I said, well, there's no real bloopers when you're doing a let's play. That's not 100% true. There's definitely moments where mid recording, I'll stop and I'll be like, no, I don't like the way that that sounded, and I'll just like stop playing the game and say that again, and there might be like a joke that like kind of bridges those two gaps, which was really handy because there's plenty of moments where I'm like, and this is the part of the level where, no way, I don't want to say it like that. So this part of the level is actually really interesting because, and then just keep going from there.
Yeah. Yeah,
What?
I'm terrible at live commentary. I can't tell if you, as I'm not sure if you already can tell from some of my previous work, but I am like terrible when it comes to when it comes to live stuff. I stammer and mumble more than the average guy whenever I like try to do commentary like that. So I always like to have, if not a script, then like notes of specific points that I want to like bring up uh, in the video that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna sound like an absolute mess.
Yeah, but I almost think that stuttering is part of what like people stutter when they talk and you don't notice it. It's only when you get on YouTube is when you really like when you watch a YouTube video you notice someone stuttering. I
Yeah,
like because we pause when we talk. We're not constantly like talking perfectly just in our day to day. I mean, I'm sure there's some Giga Chad out there who's like, well, some alpha male who's like, I never stutter when I talk, and I am able to form sentences perfectly fine.
the average sentence enjoyer.
Yeah, but for the most part, like when you talk, you're gonna have pauses, you're gonna have breaths, and it just we're we live in a world where everything we watch on the internet now is, I mean, maybe not like could be completely different for some people where like if you watch a lot of just like let's plays where it's mostly commentary over just the gameplay, they probably don't edit out their breaths, or they probably when they make a mistake they'll just be like, oh wow, that was a little strange, let me try that again. But there's a lot of moments where, or there's a lot of videos where if you're not meant to hear like a breath or something, then you don't hear it. It's taken out before it ever is shown on YouTube.
Yeah,
Or you're me and you catch every single audio quirk and no one wants to watch TV with you.
yeah. I'm not normally one for spotting out audio stuff, mainly because I'm more of a visual guy. I'm more for getting things looking like visually like interesting. Audio is a different story, and I'm not sure if that's to do with it's this thing that I've like had for ages, like because of my autism. But I hear sounds at a more like sensitive level compared to most, so I'd be able to hear somebody like eating loudly at at the other side of a room, like that kind of stuff. And if I'm in like a crowded space or where there's a lot of people talking and then someone's trying to speak to me, it's not that I can't hear what they're saying. It's just that every other voice around me is so loud, is much louder.
Yeah, no, I think I've definitely felt that as well, or I've experienced that. It also just has to do with the fact that like you're not hyper obsessive over audio like I am, which is a curse and a curse alone. That's not a negative against you. Let me say right now, it's like
Oh yeah, I know. It's all right.
like I can't stop, Luke. It's an addiction. That's why like video I would be making videos like left and right like 5 times faster if I wasn't like, oh, but yeah, I had a lip smack at 4 minutes and 27 seconds that I have to take out, which is just like people smack their lips. That's not something that is like a bad thing or even a mistake. Like you wouldn't be talking to someone and you hear them go like when they talk, and or they make like a pop sound with their mouth, and you wouldn't say,
Yeah.
oh well, you're not, that's not good, you're not supposed to talk like that. Or they take a breath, it's like you're not supposed to breathe in between words while you're talking, which everyone fucking does. But like it's just you in like with stuff like making videos, you get trained on like you there's a certain level where you just get trained on those sounds. And like uh college did not help. Like school has not helped with this at all.
Oh
In
no,
fact, it's made it
didn't.
worse.
It really didn't.
Because like anytime I watch well, actually here's a good example. I was watching Hell's Kitchen while I was in dorms. I was doing my
Yeah.
practicum and I was watching like a full season of Hell's Kitchen, just like I'd turn it on while I was cooking like dinner or something. And like there's a lot, because it's reality television is it's an oxymoron, because it's not real, if that makes sense.
It's exaggerated.
Yeah, it's very artificial in a lot of ways, and one of those ways is with the audio. And no one would ever notice like, oh, there was like a little bit where Gordon Ramsay sounded like he was saying something, and then his voice like shifted to another thing where it
Oh,
doesn't.
there are like several voice cracks
Yeah,
that you can like make.
yeah,
I'm pretty
there's
sure that. Yeah, there's definitely a compilation that I've like seen somewhere, specifically one where someone was like using like a non-stick pan. It's like, if you're cooking this is non-stick, that's what it's called, fucking non-stick.
yeah, like, or like they'll have spliced two halves of a sentence together just to make it a little more coherent. And that's not like, it's not the editor's fault per se. I mean, they should
It's just
catch
them.
that. But there is like a certain that you get to a certain point where more people uh-oh my oh okay my archive recording just stopped. I hope that's fine. I think we're still live. Yeah, stream's still going by the looks of things, but my archive stopped, which is fine. I don't really need the archive, I just have it as backup. Anyway, what was I saying? There, like, you get to a certain point where you think to yourself, well, no one's gonna notice this tiny innocuous detail, and like 99% of people don't notice that tiny innocuous detail. But then fuckers like me show up, and they're like, something doesn't sound right here. Or like,
Who invited this guy?
yeah, and it's like, and I'm not joking, like I literally can't watch TV with other people because they just get so fed up. It's like, and sometimes they're like, oh wow, that's a really cool thing. Like I didn't notice that. Like I'll me and a friend were watching, I don't know if you heard of him, J Station.
Yeah, never heard of him.
He does like these videos where he'll be like summoning Sonic.exe at 3 a.m. challenge. Yeah, you heard that right. And like we'll just be watching them, and they're fake. Like the videos are fake, and we know that
Yeah.
they're fake. They're stupid, but just the way he talks, we can't help but like watch it and just laugh. It's great fun. And
You're laughing at how terrible it is.
yeah, there was one video, and I don't want to get too much into the specifics because there's like a lot of stuff, but there was one video where he was summoning like a up of entity, we'll call it, and they got like an actor to play that entity, like walking into frame from the camera. And
And do you know it's an actor?
well, and Do I know it's well? If it was a ghost, gosh dang it, that was the most convincing ghost sighting I've ever seen. And as someone who believes in ghosts to a certain extent, like even I was like, okay, let's like not get crazy. But anyway, this actor comes in and they want to do like a 3D or not 3D, a an effect where she fades in.
Yeah,
So because like like spooky half transparent ghost, ooga booga. So they want to do that, but they've got a handheld camera. And if there's one thing I've learned about handheld anything, it's that you'll never be able to do that kind of effect and like with handheld where you can't overlay video and have it look
yeah,
good because that's what they're doing. They're overlaying two videos. So what they did was they put it on a tripod and they got like this shake preset effect from I think I was telling you about this specific effect from Motion Array where you have to subscribe for it, and
yeah,
it pissed me off because they'll take it away once your subscription runs out, which is fair, but still. Um, so they use that effect, and like just because it's such a common shake effect, I just picked it up immediately, and I was like, "Oh, this is like this." And my friend looked at me and was like, "How do you know that?" And I spent like the next 10 minutes explaining to him why that was the way it was, and he was like, "Huh, that's kind of neat." So that's like the one time where me picking up on something was like the person sitting next to me was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that. That's kind of cool." Every other time though, it will be like watching the news, and I'm like, "Oh, that shot looks a little bit, yellow there. They didn't white balance the camera properly," and then like the people I'm watching the news with will like be like, "Go away, go find something else. Stop ruining television."
you could actually spot when like the white balance is off.
To a certain extent, because well, like there's very extreme examples where it's um like you can just tell right away, like, oh, this looks yellow. I wonder, I don't know if I can pull up something right now. I wonder if I can do something in my settings. Do color source. If I
Because
just
if you could spot like white balance, that is a caliber above a lot what I could do. Because I'm terrible when it comes to color correction, and I know that specifically because towards the end of last year, when I was doing part of my final year stuff for university, one of the courses I was doing was editing, and what we were asked to do was we were asked to choose a project where we would like make our own sort of like edit out of it. It was a short. I chose a short film that was like that already exists. It's a short film called Bingo Night. It's a shit film, but I took it to edit it, and each week they would teach us like different methods of like editing. You know, like audio mixing and as and all that jazz. And then we got to color correction, and I was just completely at a loss. I had I had zero idea on like how the controls worked, on how to make this shot match with that shot in terms of colors. And thankfully, the short film that I picked didn't need much color correction, but the ones I did have to do, I felt I just did so terribly on.
bro, just do it in black and white film, no color correction. Big
I
big brain.
just big brain time.
You don't have to color correct if there's no colors. Um,
Modern problems require modern solutions.
they sure do. Gosh dang it. No. So let's keep it Thomas related, just because that's what I'm sure people watching are gonna understand.
Yeah,
I've said in the past, I particularly enjoy season 6. And like the visuals, and
yeah,
I stand by that. However, as time has gone on, I've slowly noticed that it doesn't look particularly good in a few places. Sometimes, yeah, I do see, okay, this looks freaking ugly. Sometimes it looks mostly like way too blue. Um,
Yeah,
there is a lot of very like blue lighting, and I feel like if they just like made it a little warmer, it would look like slightly better. I can't. It's really frustrating because I can't like bring up a thing to show what I mean. Um, well, okay, let's go with the opposite example then. Uh, what's it called? The last full Thomas model movie. Uh, Great Discovery. That's the one.
yeah, the Great Discovery.
So the Great Discovery, um, is very yellow.
Oh,
It look
oh,
it,
completely yellow. It's like watching Harry Potter and the Half Blood Prince. It's like somebody took out the film and just weed all over it.
just pissed like all over the set. Um,
Yeah. It's not even pissed over the set. They took the physical film and they pissed on it.
yeah. That's because well, I mean, I'm sure a bit of that is probably post production making it look a certain way, but I'm willing to bet most of that is because the lights are they have a yellow tinge to them because they want to make it look like sunny. Which
Yeah.
works some of the time, doesn't work all the time. I've never really minded the colors, but I can definitely see what people mean when they say like, "Oh, it just looks yellow. Everything's yellow." Um,
And that was a problem that they had throughout most of like the season before that, season 11, because that was the season where I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the season where they properly switched to using digital HD filming cameras for
I
season 11.
I wouldn't know about that, but that sounds right. Yeah. I
And when you look at it, you can definitely like see like the quality of it, because like seeing those models in like 1080 is, but, this was before Project Tiger Moth, before we'd ever seen the models in that kind of camera quality. That was spectacular. The problem was everything was just covered in piss.
yeah. Um, yeah. So something like that. A lot of it's just like creative decision. Like I'm sure like they're just like, oh, well, this looks good at the time, and then someone will be like, that looks yellow and awful. And I mean, it's not to say that like classic Thomas never had moments where it was like, okay, dial back the sunset a little bit.
Yeah,
Season 4 is a lot like that, but see, like the difference is that like you can have yellow and have it look nice, but you also have to like not commit so far to the yellow that it becomes overbearing. It should
yeah.
it should be just like a good, pleasant amount of piss. It shouldn't be like over maximum over piss.
Yeah, you could definitely sort of feel that it's like maybe they like found that kind of color scheme appealing. I don't know how they'd find it appealing, but maybe they like, found it appealing and they were like, you know what, we're gonna do this for every single. Like we're gonna do this for every single episode just because we like it so much. Maybe in a similar way that Robert Hartshorn loved using the synthesized horn in in his soundtrack for the model era, and he was just like, you know what, I love this horn so much, I'm going to use it in every episode.
That freaking horn. I've said it. I don't think I've said it on camera. Well, camera in air quotes. I don't think I've said it like in a video, but like everything about the hit era is brass. The music is brass. The models are brass. Everything's made of brass. Like, I think that's. I mean, it's a synthesized horn, but it's still like a. Is that right?
It's like a synthesized horn, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Music is not my strong suit. Like, I am not as qualified to talk about music as I am about other things. Really, I'm not qualified to talk about anything. But
I don't think Robert Hartshorn got to work with like a full-on orchestra until like the CGI specials.
yeah, I feel bad because like a lot of I think the thing with music is it like anything it needs time to compose like a good song.
Yeah,
Like when they were making the classic series, they probably had just for making those original songs for the first season, they probably had like a good couple years just to make that well, maybe not a couple years, but like enough time, maybe like a year, to make
And
all
that
of
was
that
because
music.
there was like a lengthy amount of time between each release. There was like at, at, at the at the least there was like a 2 year wait. The Series 1 came out in 1984, Series 2 came out in 1986. The only real change to that was like Series 3, which came out like 6 years later in 1992. But that was mostly because like the creators were trying to do other things.
Yeah,
And
thanks
then when they were,
Thomas.
and then when they returned in 1990, they still had a solid like 2 years to like pump out the episodes.
Yeah. Um
Whereas I think as soon as like as soon as Hit took over, I feel that's where things started to become like a hell of a lot rushed because Hit took over during that. I think it was like the post production of Series 6, and I'm guessing by then they would have started like the pre production of Series 7, as well as working on the Jack and the Pack special. If they had been given the same 2 year wait as like the classic series did, I think they would have been able to not only pull off the Jack of the Pack special if they hadn't cancelled it, but Series 7 wouldn't have felt as rushed and included as many reused shots. But because Hit took over and they were in the mindset of we want to get our idea out as soon as possible, they
just
pumped out Series 7 in 2003, which led to Series 8 coming out in 2004. And because I'm guessing that was financially successful, they were like, you know what, we're going to release a Thomas and Friends series every year and not worry about the consequences
until the end of time, yeah.
until the end of time.
Which is and you know what, to be fair, for like a good 18 years they did.
They did.
But I'm willing to bet that that's why all the stories feel so samey, is just because you have to make 26 original stories every year, which sounds like hell.
Not just that, but also much longer than the classic era episodes.
Yeah. And I think it came to the point where they were just like, well, it's making money to, like, it's making too much money to not do that. So let's just make as much money as we can in as short a time as we can. And I get it. Like, people have bills to pay. I understand that. But you have
Yeah.
to, like, you also have to look at it from. It also doesn't help that they were making the show for a very young demographic. Like, we are not the target demographic for the Hit era stuff.
No, we're not. We are so not.
I mean, technically, well, I wouldn't say Thomas and Friends is made specifically for kids, but it is definitely a show that like was meant to be like, okay, this is like a show that kids can watch and parents can watch while they're watching their kids. Whereas like Hit was just like, well, we'll make it a show for kids and they're not going to complain because they're children.
Yeah, it was. If it was like a, it was, I think the idea of like the classic series, like its audience appeal was that they could say we are making this show for kids, but that doesn't mean that adults are refrained from watching it.
Yeah.
Whereas Hit was a lot more blunt in like, no, we are going to make this show for kids. Kids will be watching this, or adults will be not. The only time that adults will be watching it is when they have to look after the kids and they're sat in the living room as they sit through hours of Thomas trying to get the object to this bit for the Sodor party again for about 2 hours.
Every week it's a party, gosh dang it.
Every week it's a party, there's a fate, there's
Some
some kind of special event
magicians
going
in
on.
town. Or it's stormy and or snowy weather.
Yeah.
Every day.
You'd wonder where they get the money to pay for all those parties and fates with all the accidents that keep happening.
Taxes.
Thomas and the tax fraud.
No, but I do think that like the music fell to a similar fate where he just didn't have enough time to turn around good music. It's the same thing as, and this isn't a great comparison to make because I think there was a little more time for this. But Dragon Ball Super had a similar enough production history where they
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to.
yeah, I know about that because I saw that video by Totally Not Mark. I think I know where you're getting at here with the music.
Yeah, they wanted to like they put out the two movies, Battle of Gods Resurrection F, and for some reason they weren't expecting them to be successful for some reason, which I don't know why they wouldn't. It's Dragon Ball. Um, but they put out the two movies. They're like, wow, this is making a lot of money. Let's make a new series. And before like anyone knew what was happening, well, a new series has been greenlit, boys. How much time do we have to animate it? 3 weeks? Oh God. And then that led to like episode 5 being like the breaking point where nothing looks good. But it's making too
Yeah,
much. It's making so much money that like, why would you stop producing it?
yeah.
Why would you take the time to do something else?
If it's broken but makes money, why fix it? That's
Yeah,
the phrase that I hear a lot, specifically from I think it was the Nostalgia Critic I heard it from when he was talking about the Michael Bay Transformers films.
yeah. Like it's I wouldn't say it's the same with Pokemon because I think for video games, like you can have more than one team working on something at a time. Um,
Oh yeah, otherwise they wouldn't be pumping out as many, like side games and Pokemon apps that they keep announcing at every single Pokemon Direct. That
yeah,
shows that it's not all Game Freak.
yeah. Like Game Freak's not. I'm sure like they have a big part to play, but they're not. It's not like it's 25 developers all in a room mass producing stuff. Like, or actually, a better example, Disney with the Marvel stuff.
Oh, Disney and Marvel.
Like they're just putting out so much stuff, and they're at a point where no matter what they make, even if it's not great, people are still going to buy it and they're still gonna like it. Um,
Yeah, because
or
they're fans.
yeah, like they'll still make money off of it. I shouldn't say like it's not great because like I can't make an Avengers movie. um, I mean not well. I'm sure I could like get the boys together and be like, okay, let's make Avengers 5.
You know, you know what? Is that a correction to that? You wouldn't be able to make an Avengers film to their time to the time that they want you to.
Yeah, because I imagine like those people are incredibly talented, but they're just so rushed with their stuff. Like it's not lazy, it's just physically not having enough time to
Yeah,
make something.
and I
Um,
get the and I get that like deadlines are like completely natural for when it comes to production, but and this is a comparison that I've seen come up a lot recently when comparing the CG of older films compared to nowadays. The CG in older films looks better because they took pride in what they were doing. They took time and pride in the production that they were doing, so that they could include like little details in the CGI animation that you wouldn't be able to include if you were incredibly like rushed off your heels. Whereas if Marvel is like, right, we've announced this thing, we've got to get it out by this thing, and then right after that, it's got to tie into that thing, and there's no real moment where they slow down to think, is this working?
yeah, like can we take a break because it's making so much money as we've said. Um, and it's projects like that's why I think working on single projects like Invincible is a show that freaking popped off when it came out.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it, and whether that was because people really liked the comic, which I'd never even knew there was a comic, or the show they just really liked the show. It's hard to say. I'm sure there's like both sides, people who are like longtime fans versus just found it out of the blue,
Or people who love the memes.
or people who love the memes like me. I mean the meme was the only reason that I gave it a look in the first place. I was like, damn, this is heckin' actually really good. Um, but they had every reason to be like, okay, let's make a season 2 as quickly as possible. And they didn't. They took the time to be like, okay, we'll step back and we'll. Oh, and my thing cut off again. Um, but they took the time to step back and they were like, wow, let's focus on making something good versus making something because a corporation is telling us. I'm sure there is like corporate stuff in there, but I feel like it's more like it's not they're not being controlled by like I think Amazon owns like is where that was streamed on. So like
Yeah.
Amazon's not like you have to make a new season right now every year until we milk you dry. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is why a lot of Netflix series end up being like cancelled as like as quickly as they are. Because I was watching a video yesterday of. Have you ever heard of Saberspark?
That name sounds familiar, but I don't think I have.
He released he released a video yesterday talking about how Adult Swim saved Family Guy, and how like that series had like a very like slow start, like a slow burn beginning, and because of how because it wasn't doing as well to begin with, Fox cancelled it. But then when they started doing reruns on Adult Swim and they started doing DVD sales, the show grew in popularity and they like brought it back. And one of the things that Saber Spark mentioned was you won't really get a show like that anymore with something like Netflix, because Netflix are not about series that take a slow burn, you know, series that take a while to get going. If it doesn't immediately click, if it doesn't immediately start bringing in a big audience, a certain amount of money, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, like you will. I think with a lot of shows that don't click, there's still the potential for it to be like down the road. You get like the cult classic. Um, I think a good example of that is the Zeta Project is like a show that people who are into the DC side of things will watch that and be like, oh wow, that's actually not too bad. But at the time, it was just overshadowed by so many other things.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like Netflix has such like a big catalog to begin with that you're gonna like if you're not like in like the top 10, no one you're lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I highly doubt like Stranger Things would have like lasted as long as it did if season one didn't do as well as it did and appealed to as many people as it did.
Yeah, which it kind of makes me glad that Netflix isn't the only streaming service that you can watch stuff on, because I think like having that competition, well, I mean, Netflix is just so big now that like they have like a billion users all sharing 9 accounts. Um, I wish I could take credit for that joke, but that's not me. Um, but what was I saying? I think having that competition of like other people who they don't put out as much per year as Netflix, but like the quality is a lot higher. Um,
Yeah.
and as much as I would love to like work on a TV show like that, I can't imagine having to work on a show and then someone just says, well, you only have like a month to get it done or else it's canceled and you don't get to do any more of it. Like that to me sounds like soul crushing. And so I can understand why creators will look at a show that they've been working on, like The Office, where it went longer than it needed to, and I think like part of it was they just wanted to end it because they just weren't enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, The Office might not be the best example. That '70s show I think is a better example where it ended because like there just wasn't any more passion left for it.
Like they said everything they'd wanted to say. They'd attempted all the jokes they wanted to, the other kind of character stories that they wanted to. They just get to a point where it's like, okay, now's a good time to stop. And the the networks suddenly like start sweating profusely. It's like, holy shit, what the fuck do we do? We're gonna lose one of our biggest money makers.
What do we do? And we can't just like make something new. That would be ridiculous. That would be
Yeah.
insanity.
Which is probably why The Simpsons has lasted as long as it has, and will continue to until uh, our planet implodes.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird how like some shows can just get like so popular that like you can't take it off, even just for like a break, to work on other things. Like it has to be like every year is a new season, and it's like going on like 40 seasons. It's like, okay, can we please do something else? Just making so much money that like no one could even dream, or it's been around for so long that no one could even dream about it not being made, like new episodes not being made anymore. It's like the news at that point, or like a sports channel, where it's like you can't imagine, well, what do you mean the news is not being broadcast anymore? It's always broadcast, and it always is just good enough to get by. I don't like the news, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, I don't really, I don't watch a lot of public television anymore.
Yeah. Can I be completely honest with you? I have no idea how we got here. We were in oil ocean zone, and then like 40 minutes went by, and I don't know how I don't know how we found ourselves taught like it. Yeah, I'm not complaining or anything. Don't get me wrong.
No, it's that we went from talking about how terrible oil ocean zone is to the rise and fall of television.
Yeah. I mean, I've pretty much
there was-
said. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think there was something about season 6 in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because we were talking about color correction and.
Yeah, we're talking
and
about
stuff.
color correction with season 6.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've pretty much said all I wanted to say about Sonic Mania. This, I guess the final boss. I split the final level up into 2 parts just because it was really long. Like, because I let the credits roll, and the credits like took up friggin', where are we at here? 6 minutes. It was like another 16 minutes of credits after this. There's no gameplay after we cap the final boss. So I just let it go, and I probably could have like credited in the credits the people that I'd like borrowed assets from, and I didn't do that because I said I just want it to be done. I did leave like links to everyone though, so
Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
I'm not gonna. I've been very careful with that kind of stuff. But anyway, moving past that, Sonic Mania, good game. Final boss got broken up into 2 halves because it was long, and also I didn't like my commentary for the final boss because I died during the final battle twice. Actually, I think it was 3 times. Which
if I'm honest, it's kind of hard to commentate over the final boss, and this is I don't know where you stand on the boss itself design wise, but the final boss to when I got to it in this game was just kind of anticlimactic.
I kind of felt the same way, yeah. I think that having a boss where like the bosses are fighting each other. I mean, they're not really fighting each other, but like you've got like 2 different guys to deal with. I thought
they're scuffling over the TV remote, the Phantom
Yeah.
Ruby.
Yeah, like I want to know where they got the Phantom Ruby. It was like in Angel Island, but why? But why though? Why was it in Angel Island? How did they know it was there? How did they get it?
Because Infinite.
Yeah, that was the other thing, is that this game connects to Sonic fucking forces. Which is
And I'm fairly certain, and I'm definitely certain that was like a last minute inclusion.
Oh,
Because you can definitely feel it of like the defeat the final boss. It was like, oh, what can we have with like the place exploding? Oh, Sega wants this to connect this with their next mainline Sonic game, so that Sonic Mania doesn't overshadow Sonic Forces. So we'll just have classic Sonic be teleported by the Phantom Ruby. That'll definitely get people excited for Forces.
Yeah, I mean it's a clever idea. It's just Sonic Forces didn't pay off as well as it could have.
No. And that's a shame for me to say, because that was probably that was actually the Sonic game I was looking forward to the most that year. Like I was looking forward to both Mania and Sonic Forces, but I was more so looking forward to Forces because of the trailer it said from the developers of Colors and Generations. Even though in the end it ended up being like the most that they included of the original team from Colors and Generations was, I kid you not, 3 programmers from Sonic Colors and 1 designer from Sonic Lost World.
Yeah, I love that they were like, now how are we gonna make these level? Yeah, get in the guy who made Sonic Lost World's level design, where it's a completely different game. I don't even hate Sonic Lost World. I think that as a video game, it's all right. I thought it was pretty fun. It's very like I've played the 3DS version, which gets brutal at times with how long some of its levels are. But I thought it was like an okay game. But why the fuck would you get the guy who made Sonic Lost World, which is like Super Mario Galaxy the Hedgehog? It's a completely different kind of Sonic game. And get him to design levels which are way too short. Like, they just are. Like, it's a minute long. And there's some levels in... I've been playing Sonic Forces. There are some levels in Sonic Forces that are short, but they have to be short because they're just, like, little snippets.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to be long, and they are short because you go really fast in them, and you're trying to get, like, S rank, and it's, like, 55 seconds is one of them, which is bullshit. It's the worst S rank. It's like the second of those little snippet levels in the game is stupid.
Did you ever see like the speed run world record for that level?
I have not.
I'll bring it up and I'll send it to you. But I forget what the guy's name, but he basically completed the stage in 40 seconds.
That's stupid. That's not okay. That's too fast. Too fast.
I think I think the way that he like did that was there's an exploit in Sonic Frontiers where when you're mid homing attack, you can press the boost and it will send you like the distance that the boost would like send you, but you go further and faster because you're holding that momentum of the homing attack.
You mean there's an exploit in a Sonic game that... What?
Yeah.
There's a mechanic in a Sonic game that doesn't work as intended.
But yeah, there it is. If you're able to like bring it up on the screen.
I think I can. Oh god, that's loud. Let's do one of these and one of those. I think that's the right one. Yep, there we go. We'll just a little bit of music. And I can probably kill the Sonic Mania music because we're basically done with that. We're now watching there we go. That's more He's just mashing that boost. Do you have? I thought you could just hold it.
He is. No, you can mash it. You can mash it.
Does it go like slightly faster, or it must if he's doing it? 40 seconds. That's absurd. I think
the way that works. I think it's to do with like the way that the boost is programmed for the cyberspace levels, with how it gives you like a small boost of speed at the beginning, but then for the rest of it, it just feels like you're running at normal speed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll buy that. That makes sense. I remember thinking like, oh, the boost was just like, I remember not thinking that you could hold the boost and that it was just like you had to mash it repeatedly. And then I realized, oh, I can save some wear and tear on my Joy-Cons by just holding it down. Which is good, because my Joy-Cons have started to drift again. So I'm playing Sonic, Sonic, the fastest thing alive, and he's drifting, literally, in the wrong direction. Sometimes. He'll just start walking out, like, I'll just stop to think of, like, oh, how am I gonna make this jump? And Sonic's just like, I'll see you later, buddy, and he just starts walking away.
That's the thing where it's like a glitch at like a thing wrong with like how the controller's wired, in that if it's plugged in and then the character like suddenly starts moving one way without you touching anything,
Yeah, and I'm just like, get back here, fucker. I need you. We've got to.
I'm glad that other people experienced that because I think the first time I experienced that was, oh, this is going to be like a major throwback, but it was when I played Madagascar on the PlayStation 2 when I was a kid. And I forget what level it was, but Alex just suddenly starts like moving to the left, and I'm not holding the controller, and I was thinking, what the hell's going on?
Wait a second. Where? He doesn't have anywhere to be. He's a lion.